Chapter 127 The end of the tournament and the awards. The dancing figure kept on drifting into his mind. Huo Yuao had a dazed look in his eyes. The figure's long pinkish blue hair was the same color as Wang Dong's. He couldn't help but recall the time when they unleashed the Heavenly Emperor's hammer together. The fusion of their martial souls then projected his adult figure that unleashed an extremely powerful blow. Huo Yuao still clearly recalled the strength of that blow. It was an amazing feeling. But why did the raiment of light turn into a ravishing beauty? Did the radiant butterfly goddess descend? That didn't seem too possible either, as Wang Dong was the one who controlled that martial fusion soul skill. Huo Yuao's impression of it wasn't very deep. Wang Dong had even lost consciousness after the attack. Right, how was Wang Dong now? Both of them had overdrafted their powers, and Huo Yuao immediately thought of Wang Dong as he recalled everything that had happened before. He suddenly became anxious. Although his body was depleted, he was only fatigued. With the life gold nourishing him and his own extraordinary life power, his body recovered quickly after he rested for a day. But Huo Yuao still found it difficult to move. He couldn't go and find Wang Dong even if he wanted to. He could only calm himself down and use the mysterious heaven technique to restore his soul power. The mysterious heaven technique was very effective in healing and recovery. When it was initially activated, Huo Yuao could only sense according to how he cultivated normally because he had no excess soul power. However, a tinge of soul power seemed to be squeezed out from his limbs after 3 days. They started to be activated. Everything was different when he had soul power. Huo Yuao sat up, albeit with difficulty. He focused his mind and attention on activating his soul power. The mysterious heaven technique didn't just restore his power, it also nourished his body. The sore feeling he felt was also alleviated as his soul power was activated. But Huo Yuao didn't see the eye of life opening on his forehead. The dim green that contained a life aura nourished his entire body quietly. When he awoke from his cultivation, it was already dark outside. It was already evening. After he stretched, Huo Yuao made a surprising discovery. His soul power had increased once again and was now quite close to rank 29. This had something to do with his effort in cultivation, but more importantly, his potential was stimulated by that life and death situation. But he couldn't be bothered about his delight now. There were too many things on his mind. He jumped out of bed and changed his clothes. He didn't even wash up before he rushed out of his room. Huo Yuao subconsciously wanted to go to Wang Dong's room, but he soon realized that there were more important things. That's why he went to knock on Wang Yan's door directly. Huo Yuao realized that Teacher Wang had black circles all over his eyes when the door opened. He looked very lethargic, as if he had yet to wake up. Teacher Wang, Yuao? You're fine already. How's your body? Wang Yan was jolted awake seeing that it was him. Huo Yuao hurriedly asked, Teacher Wang, how's my elder sister? The Black Flames. Wang Yan creased his brows and said in a deep voice, troublesome. We became the eventual champions after the tournament ended yesterday. After we returned, Elder Sun started to help Xiao Dao suppress the Black Flames. Although the overall strength of the Black Flames can't compare to Elder Sun, they're very resilient. They managed to free themselves even though Elder Sun suppressed them a few times. Xiao Dao's awareness still remains unclear. The trouble is indeed quite great now. We must return to the academy once we collect our prize. We need to treat her using the academy's resources. Come in first. As he spoke, Wang Yan allowed Huo Yuao into the room. Wang Yan's room was a little messy. The curtains were still drawn, and it was obvious that he had been resting before Huo Yuao came. He was too exhausted. As the teacher in charge of this tournament, he was under greater pressure than anyone else. He felt as if his body was going to collapse after he became more relaxed following the excitement of being crowned champions. After settling a few matters when he returned, he collapsed onto his bed. He tried to crawl out of bed a few times, as he was worried about his student's condition. That was why he looked so exhausted now. Without some adjustment, he wouldn't be able to restore himself to his peak state. But this experience was still very precious to Wang Yan. He became a much more outstanding teacher in terms of experience, mentality and some other subtle aspects. Wang Yan allowed Huo Yuao to take a seat and poured a glass of water for him. Your body is already fine? He asked. Huo Yuao didn't stand on ceremony, and downed the glass of water. He replied, I'm already fine. I was just exhausted. Teacher Wang, will Elder Sister's martial soul turn into an evil martial soul? He was the most familiar with Ma Xiaodao's evil phoenix among everyone. While the evil aura of the original phoenix flames was very obvious, it was suppressed by the phoenix flames. But Huo Yuao could no longer feel the nobility of the phoenix flames when Ma Xiaodao's martial soul transformed. It was only left with desperation and violence. This shouldn't resemble a normal soul master's martial soul. Wang Yan wore a bitter look. If the black flames can't be completely suppressed, she may become an evil soul master. She'll even become an extremely powerful one. Elder Sun mentioned that Xiao Dao's soul power reached rank 70 after the Phoenix Flames turned black. After she obtained 7 rings, there's likely to be another increase. Elder Sun is also unclear about how much it can potentially increase, but we'll definitely hope that Xiao Dao won't become an evil soul master. Her awareness will be consumed by the evil darkness. When that happens, she won't be the original Ma Xiao Dao anymore. She'll be an evil dark phoenix. Huo Yuao was shocked as he said, what should we do then? Elder sister. Wang Yan sighed and shook his head. He replied, at least, we have no solution now. We can only see after we return to the academy. Elder Sun has already brought Xiao Dao back to the academy. He will come back to fetch us after that. Huo Yuao heaved a sigh of relief after he heard that Ma Xiao Dao had returned to the academy. He had great belief in the academy. He only asked out of curiosity, Teacher Wang, why do we need Elder Sun to fetch us? Can't we go back ourselves? Our injuries aren't too bad. Wang Yan looked at him with a deep gaze and said, Yuao, you can't leave the academy for some time after we return this time. You can't even leave during the holidays. After becoming champions of this tournament, all of you have gone into the spotlight and have become others' targets. What if someone wants to harm all of you? The academy is only being cautious. Did you forget the body sect? Huo Yuao opened his eyes wide. Are you saying that someone will? Wang Yan nodded and replied, we can't exclude that possibility. Those fellows won't act recklessly with Elder Sun around. Don't ever underestimate the evilness of this world. All of you are already so outstanding at such a young age. What about 10, 20 years later? Our rivals won't want to see all of you reach the stage where you become threats to them. Huo Yuao furrowed his brows. Although he wasn't old, he was much more mature than others of the same age. He understood Wang Yan immediately. Teacher Wang, how's Wang Dong? Wang Yan said, his condition is quite stable. Like you, his body was overdrafted. Both of you gave your all in the final. Honestly, your martial soul fusion skills shocked everyone. This is the first time in the continent's history where 2 twin martial souls managed to unleash 4 martial soul fusion skills. You must both be more aware of your safety precisely because of this. All right, go take a look at him. Just get whatever you want to eat from the hotel. You're a star now. A comforted smile appeared on his face after he finished speaking. The way he looked at Huo Yuao was like how he was looking at his own kid. Huo Yuao always had Wang Dong's room key, just like how Wang Dong would walk in and out of his room freely. Huo Yuao walked into the room after opening the door. Wang Dong was still asleep. His entire body was covered by a warm blanket, and only his pale face was revealed. His short pinkish blue hair was very messy as his head lay down on the pillow. His charming face appeared much gentler. Huo Yuao sat by the bedside and couldn't help but pinch his face. He lowered his head and went closer to him before muttering, he looks exactly the same. Yes. Whether it was the hair color or the facial outline, Wang Dong and the lady's figure were the same, but he was much more innocent and lacked the lady's charm. Huo Yuao was extremely close to Wang Dong because he was analyzing Wang Dong's face. At this point, he felt soft hair brushing across his face. A pair of blue eyes appeared in front of him. The long and curly eyelashes trembled a little because they had been slightly touched. Ah, you're awake. Huo Yuao was shocked and straightened his back. For some reason, his heartbeat rapidly increased as he was watched by the huge eyes. Wang Dong snapped, you dare to pinch my face. You wait. Huo Yuao chortled, you were already awake. Why didn't you say anything when I came in then? Chapter 127.2, the end of the tournament and the awards. Wang Dong snorted and replied, why must I make any sound? I wanted to see what you were up to. Indeed, I discovered your intention. Huo Yuao chortled and said, whatever. Wang Dong, aren't you extremely weak now, and can't use any of your energy? Although Wang Dong was awake, his voice was very weak. His condition was just like Huo Yuao when he just woke up. Wang Dong rolled his eyes and said, do you think everyone is as fit as you? Huo Yuao laughed teasingly. It's good that you're weak too. What can you do if I pinch your face? As he said, he used both his hands to pinch Wang Dong's face. He even twisted his cheeks a few times. Wang Dong's charming face was twisted till a weird shape was formed. Even his lips couldn't help but pout. You rascal. Wang Dong spoke unclearly. Who are you? Relaxed his grip on Wang Dong's face before patting his neck. He said, you should behave yourself more since you're already so weak. Haha, I'm enjoying this feeling. Wang Dong was furious till his face turned red. He glared at Who are you, but a slight laughing intent flashed across the depths of his eyes subconsciously. The Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament had finally concluded, and they had managed to defend Shrek's glory. They were even the ones who had decided victory in the final. They were much more relaxed now that the intense tournament was over. That's why Who are you had behaved in this way now. Who are you saw Wang Dong smiling too, but he was trying to conceal his smile. Wang Dong, aren't we the best? Wang Dong was stunned as he looked into his eyes. The fury on his face disappeared, and he nodded slightly. Yes, we are. We're the champions. Who are you? Smiled brightly, but tears started to appear in his eyes. He bent his waist suddenly and crawled up to Wang Dong's body before hugging him tightly. Thanks, Wang Dong. Wang Dong was in a daze. He could sense Who are Yu's sudden emotional outburst, but he didn't know what to do or say at this moment. But he stretched out his arms slowly. Though he was weak, he still managed to hug Who are Yu's back. Who are you muttered. From the day I left the Duke's mansion, I swore to avenge my mother when I returned. I must be stronger than all of them, and make them pay the price for the torment my mother bore for more than 10 years. I even wanted to end the Duke's bloodline. I didn't realize how childish this mentality was then. I met eldest senior and teacher Xiaoyu in Stardew Forest. I only realized how small and weak I was after I entered Shrek Academy. I worked so hard to fulfill the stubborn desire I had. However, I realized how impractical it was the more things I learned. I'm just a weak orphan compared to the Duke's mansion. I can't threaten them in the slightest. There was even a period of time when I was filled with desolation. I didn't think I stood a chance in my life anymore. It was you and everyone that made me feel warm. I'm really fortunate to have met teacher Xiaoyu and eldest senior. I'm even more fortunate to have met you. It's all of you that enabled me to join Shrek's big family. It's all of you that made me feel the warmth and friendship I never felt when I was younger. We came hand in hand to the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament, and even obtained the championship. From that moment onwards, I realized that not everything is possible because of hard work. Wang Dong, thanks for giving me courage and helping to become stronger. You'll always be my best brother. After listening to Who are Yu's words, Wang Dong's gaze turned extremely gentle. Even his arms developed more strength to hug Who are Yu tighter. The two of them maintained this position for a few minutes, while one side of Wang Dong's pillow was drenched by Who are Yu's flowing tears. Hey, you're crushing me. After a long while, Wang Dong finally managed to squeeze these words out of his mouth. Who are you? Bounced up unwittingly, but only saw Wang Dong smiling at him. Seeing his charming face, Who are you? Couldn't help but pinch his face again. Wang Dong, how great it would be if you were a girl just like the appearance of the raiment of light revealed that day. Who are you? Said. Wang Dong's face turned red, and he answered, even if I'm a girl, what has that got to do with you? A few teardrops still continued to cling to Who are Yu's face, but he didn't even realize, and chuckled. Of course it concerns me. Then I'll cling onto you shamelessly. Elder Shu said that a good girl is afraid of clingy guys, and that he'll manage to win over Jiang Nan one day. Oh yes, do you have a sister at home? You can introduce her to me. It's better to benefit someone you know than outsiders. Poi. Wang Dong's face turned red, but he didn't turn to look at Who are you? Who are you? Thought that he was angry, and said hurriedly, I'm just kidding. Don't take it for real. Wang Dong twisted his head suddenly. What do you mean by that? You can't take back your words. Let me tell you, I really have an elder sister. What? Who are Yu's eyes opened wide as he looked at him. Is that for real? Of course it's real. Wang Dong said seriously. I have an older twin sister. She was born 2 hours earlier than me. If you really want to know her, I can introduce you to her. She's in another academy now. That's because my family is worried about her being too far due to her gender and her beautiful looks. But my elder sister's martial soul is just like mine. Our Shrek Academy allows outstanding individuals to join the inner courtyard test. Maybe my elder sister will join too when we take the test a few years later. I can introduce you to her then. Who are you? Was stunned as he looked at Wang Dong. Older twin sister. Does that mean she looks just like you? Looks just like you. Wang Dong rolled his eyes and said, obviously, how can we be twins if we don't look alike? I believe she'll look just like the appearance of the raiment of light that we displayed that day. Why? Are you moved? If you listen to me, I can consider introducing her to you. Who are you? Chuckled before shaking his head. He said, forget it. If your sister is so pretty, why would she fall for me? I was just kidding. That raiment of light was indeed ravishing. Wang Dong snapped. Don't underestimate yourself. Do you still think that you're lousy? Twin martial souls. Ultimate martial soul. A member of the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament champions. You're even a main driving force of the team. Who are you lousier than among those of the same age? Of course, even I am a little off from you too. Who are you? Was stunned for a moment. Yes. Who was he inferior to? After he questioned himself, he discovered it was difficult to answer his own question. Wang Dong was cross as he said, stop spacing out. Help me recover. Are you still human? You only know how to bully me, but not help me recover my strength. Oh, okay. Who are you? Rushed to grab both his hands. He slowly injected his mysterious heaven technique soul power into Wang Dong's body. Wang Dong was equally exhausted, but his passageways were resilient. They didn't show any signs of damage. The nourishing effect of the mysterious heaven technique soul power was extremely great. Along with Who are Yu's life aura and his soul power, Wang Dong restored his soul power very quickly. The Haodong power even managed to start circulating again. The two of them worked together and used less than 2 hours. When the sky outside turned dark, Wang Dong's soul power had almost been fully restored. He was no longer in a weakened state. Who are you? Let go of Wang Dong's hands as he let out a long breath. All right, you should be much comfortable now. Let's stop cultivating today and have a good rest. Let's go and have some food. Wang Dong sat up suddenly, and he quickly used his hands to pinch Who are Yu's cheeks. He revealed a cheeky look on his face after he twisted Who are Yu's cheeks. Who are Yu didn't resist and let Wang Dong pinch him. Your petty mentality is too great. Wang Dong opened his eyes wide and increased his strength. My petty mentality is too great. Who's the one who started it? I shall pinch you. Who are you? Screamed in pain. I didn't use so much force. If you don't stop, I'm going to retaliate. As he spoke, both his hands had already reached below Wang Dong's armpits. No. Wang Dong laughed loudly. The two of them would continue to have fun in their room. Shrek Academy. Sea God's Island. Sea God's Pavilion. In a quiet chamber, Ma Xiaotao lay on a smooth, white bed. The black flames that kept on coming out from her body had disappeared, but she still looked extremely pale. Her face even flashed with a layer of black gas at times. A golden light barrier covered this bed. It seemed as if Ma Xiaotao had been sealed. There were 2 people standing at her bedside. On the left was the Shrek Academy's martial soul department's dean. Yan Shaosh. Beside him was an elder in his declining years. The elder seemed unable to straighten his back. Although he stood there, his body seemed to be bent at a 90-degree angle. He held a crutch with both his hands, with which supported his body. Yan Shaosh wore a serious look as he looked at Ma Xiaotao and said in a deep voice, Teacher, I think this is just a temporary measure even though we use the manifold mysterious ice bed and your power of light to seal Ma Xiaotao's dark phoenix flames. Those dark phoenix flames are extremely domineering. Once they break free from the restraints, things will get messy. Xiaotao's senses will also. Chapter 127.3. The end of the tournament and the awards. This elder was Shrek Academy's master of the Sea God's Pavilion and the most powerful person in Shrek Academy. Elder Mew. No wonder he always lay down in a recliner chair. He had an unmentionable disease that prevented his back from straightening. Who would have expected that he possessed the powers of a transcendent Douluo? He even had a respectable status. Elder Mew said, You're right. It's also my first time seeing this dark phoenix flame. I also took a look at the sword that little Sun, Elder Sun, passed to me. What a judgment sword. It can actually turn any soul power to the powers of light and darkness at will. My estimates of soul tools are already very great, but who could have expected that the Sun Moon Empire's development in this aspect was even beyond my imagination? Xiaotao's martial soul experienced a transformation because the judgment sword's power of darkness could enter her body and stimulate the evil aura that was suppressed. They complemented each other and took control of her body. Xiaotao resisted with her resilience and fought for control of her own body. Although the will of the evil force is extremely strong, she still has a fire-type body. A huge collision occurred between both parties in her body. Xiaotao is a very resilient person. She doesn't bend. I can imagine how she was willing to perish alongside the other party when that came along. Although she was obviously inferior, she managed to force the power of darkness and evil to compromise. They stopped clashing with her and infused into the Phoenix flames directly, hoping to assimilate her. Xiao Tao also used the transformation time to unleash an obstinate blow and achieved victory. You're right about one point. The greater the suppression, the greater the backlash. After the evil will and power of darkness were infused into the Phoenix flames, they initiated a mad transformation. I'm also unclear on the details, but not everything's bad. Upon hearing Elder Mu's words, Yan Xiaosh was shocked. Teacher, isn't this bad enough? If we didn't control Xiao Tao, she would have become an evil soul master. Elder Mu tilted his head and glanced at him. He furrowed his brows before saying, "You're almost 102. Why are you still so surprised by things? You're good in other aspects, but your character is flawed. Otherwise, I wouldn't have asked Lina to restrict your authority." Yan Xiaosh was petrified and answered respectfully, "Yes, teacher, I was wrong." "It's good that you know you're wrong," Elder Mu said indifferently. "You must be calm in dealing with matters. There are always two sides to a coin. Yes, Xiao Tao's Phoenix flames did get contaminated and can't suppress the evilness within like in the past, but the power of darkness can stimulate the most primitive power of her Phoenix flames. Otherwise, how could these black flames be so powerful?" Yan Xiaosh was also very powerful, and had the cultivation of a transcendent Douluo. He also spent his life immersed in the study of martial souls. After hearing Elder Mu's words, he understood. "Teacher, are you saying that Xiao Tao's evil phoenix has evolved following this transformation?" Elder Mu nodded and replied, "That's right. It didn't just evolve, it evolved completely too. Besides the fact that she can't control it, I dare to claim that her flames are the strongest existence of fire currently. In other words, they formed the ultimate fire. Phoenix flames form ultimate fire naturally, but the evil aura in Xiao Tao's body prevented the flames from being pure. Her lineage has always experienced this problem. The transformation in her martial soul has initiated the power of her phoenix's primitive bloodline. Although it has turned into a dark phoenix, its powers are still very great. If Xiao Tao were awake, she could fight an ordinary titled Douluo with her seven-ringed cultivation right now." Yan Xiaosh's eyes flashed with radiance. Ultimate fire. It's indeed the ultimate fire. However, it's a pity that Xiao Tao can't control her ultimate fire in her current condition. Elder Mu sighed. "That's why I say that there are two sides to a coin. We can only seal her here for now. Otherwise, she may become the strongest evil soul master in the continent's history if she loses control. Once her cultivation reaches a titled Douluo's level, it'll be difficult to suppress her anymore. The development of evil soul masters has always been very frightening." Yan Xiaosh said with a look of worry, "But we can't just leave her like that. I can feel the dark phoenix's flames growing in her body. There'll be a day when we can't suppress it anymore. Once that day comes, will we really have to?" Elder Mu shook his head and said, "Don't be too anxious. It's not entirely hopeless yet. We can't be hasty right now." Yan Xiaosh was stunned for a while. "Teacher, you have a solution." Elder Mu whispered something. Yan Xiaosh nodded repeatedly after hearing his words and became more relieved. "We can only do it this way since this is the case. When the time comes, I'll be the bad guy. We have no choice anyway." Elder Mu said, "The other kids are almost back. I can't believe they were able to defend Shrek's glory even though they were so much weaker. Their achievements are beyond conceivable. After this experience, they will have a lot of room to improve. The academy will also not be stingy with them for what they've contributed." Yan Xiaosh was moved. "Teacher, don't worry. We shall reward them according to what we discussed. When Wang Yan returns and relates the entire tournament process, I will record everything into the academy's history books, and they will be accorded with unprecedented rewards." Douluo City also regained its peace after the tournament ended. The prize ceremony wasn't made public, and it wasn't grand either, but the prizes were top quality. The runners-up, the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy, left Douluo City on the second day after the tournament ended under the charge of their teacher and returned to the Sun Moon Empire. Shrek Academy waited one more day for Elder Sun. Besides receiving gold soul coins, they were also given 4 soul bones as their prize. They were offered the Ice Jade Scorpion left arm bone apart from the 3 soul bones normally given to the champions. The Douluo Emperor Shu Jiawei wanted to invite Elder Sun to choose from the Imperial Treasury, but he was declined by Elder Sun. As the strongest individual from Shrek Academy that revealed himself to the external world, he didn't want to have too much to do with the Douluo Empire. Wang Yan represented the academy to make the choice eventually. He understood his students sufficiently well, and his discernment of soul bones wasn't inferior to Elder Sun either. The Douluo Emperor felt the pinch with his final choice, but he was helpless too. The value of the 3 soul bones couldn't just be measured using money anymore. The pressure brought about by the tournament prizes was also one of the reasons why the tournament was organized by a different empire every time. All semi-finalists were awarded prizes, but only the champion was given 3 soul bones, and the runners-up were given 1 soul bone. The soul bones had no lives on their own. They could only exert their effects when they were absorbed. That was why empires and sects often gave their soul bones directly to their outstanding successors. The greatest difference between a soul bone and soul ring was that a soul bone remained after a soul master perished, but a soul ring disappeared. Soul masters had been around for several 10,000s of years. Although soul bones could be accumulated, there were far less of them than soul masters. More importantly, the world of soul masters had gradually developed a method to synthesize soul bones through research. This was because of the increasing demand for soul bones. If not for the rapid development of soul tools and the conflict between the Sun Moon and Douluo continents, the most advanced research in the Douluo continent would probably be in the synthesis of soul bones. The so-called synthesis of soul bones referred to combining a few pieces of related soul bones using a special method. This would form a brand new soul bone. The synthesized soul bone was likely to be more powerful, but they would also be damaged in half of all instances. There were very few people who dared to synthesize soul bones because of how valuable soul bones were. When Huo Yuao fused with the Ice Emperor's skeleton, he had used a secret law soul bone. It was considered a type of soul bone synthesis, but because the Ice Emperor's skeleton was too powerful and the synthesis was even controlled directly by the Ice Empress, there was no way that it could have failed. Elder Sun only took a day to make the round trip between Douluo City and Shrek Academy. He didn't allow Wang Yan to allocate the 4 pieces of soul bones, but paid for Shrek's expenditures in the Starlight auction place first. After that, he instructed everyone to pack up and return to Shrek Academy. He could only relax once they were back in the academy. Huo Yuao and Wang Dong had fully recovered. Bei Bei, Ling Luoken and Dai Yueheng were also fine after they dispelled their poison. Zhang Nan's injury, however, wasn't light, and she was still in the process of recovery. Shu Sanqi was the most heavily injured one. He only woke up after 2 days in a coma, but he was still so weak that it was difficult for him to speak, and would need some time to recuperate. Elder Sun returned from Shrek Academy and brought sufficient flying type soul tools. He led everyone personally just like the previous time. He unleashed his soul power to protect both Shu Sanqi and Zhang Nan. The rest used the flying type soul tools to fly just like they had when they left the academy. On the second morning after they collected their prize, everyone from Shrek changed into ordinary attire. Without alerting the Douluo Empire's officials, they snuck out of Douluo City and flew towards Shrek Academy. It was time to return home. The anxiety that they had felt when they first came had turned into pride and glory. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.